up in our lives. Because when we're really having a wonderful time, when we're saying that this is a really great part of my life, what we're doing is we are breathing in the breath of God's life. This is the creativity of spirit. And when I recognize it and allow it to expand through my heart and soul, it pours into every aspect of my being. And it's healing to every cell of my body, and it radiates from me to bless all those around me. It breathes life into every good possibility in my life, as long as I'm allowing it to flow to all the good possibilities. When you're feeling good, when you're feeling compassionate, when you're feeling kind, know that this is the God part of yourself, and by rights of your consciousness, you're expanding that energy into your life, into the world. And the creator of all the universe is grateful for it. It's pleased by it, and it's watching over you in awe and joy. It's like my little niece when her little one first began to walk. She would just look at him in awe as he took the first steps. When you're taking a step out in love and kindness and compassion, the creator of the universe is looking over you with awe and with joy and pride, that you're willing to take that effort, that you're willing to take that step. That is how much God loves you and supports you and values you. Without you, God cannot be God. You were in Spirit's plans for the universe the moment of the Big Bang. You, in Southern terms, you are the red dye food coloring for the red velvet cake. Without you, it's not going to be a red velvet cake. I had a friend from the north, from D.C., when I was living in D.C., and she came traveling through at Christmas time. And she wanted to stop off and meet my mom. I was like, okay, this could be tricky, but we'll try it. And Mom had done a red velvet cake, and so we were sharing with her red velvet cake for the first time. And she was enjoying it, and she looked up to me, she said, but why do they have to put the red food coloring in it? I was, time to go now. Angels fear to tread. So, now, you are needed and necessary to creation. You are needed and necessary. Don't go out. You don't have to go out and tell your relatives that at brunch this afternoon. You don't have to tell them that you are spirit made manifest in life. They're not going to understand it, and it's okay. You're the only one that needs convincing of it. You're the only one that you need to convince that you are spirit made manifest in your life. You are the way God is working in your life. Now, you're not all of God, but all that you are is God's stuff in the physical plane. Because what else could you be? It's like if you go take a bucket to the ocean and you dip a bucket of ocean water. The bucket is not all of the ocean, but all that is in that bucket is the ocean. And it contains within it all the potentiality of the ocean. The essence of you, the core of you, is spirit made manifest. And there is some part of you that contains every possibility of spirit. We can deny it. We can choke it off with the weeds of fears and doubts. We can keep it hidden from the sunlight of opportunities. And we can make our minds into a desert of despair and isolation. But like the desert, with one shower of truth and encouragement, the dull sands can bloom forth into a painted landscape, vibrant and alive. I'm told that a desert can go over 20 years without rain. But when it has a rain, what happens? It blooms forth. And all it needed was a little rain. The potential had been there all along. And what appears to be a miracle was nothing more than water, which represents right consciousness, right thinking. It wasn't a miracle at all, but it was the natural results of the seeds of potentiality meeting the waters of encouragement and blooming forward. We may have turned our lives into a desert with little hope, little love, or little encouragement, but the rains of Spirit's love can revitalize our thinking can show us a way where there might have been no way before, can bring a broken heart to love, can inspire someone who's never had success to lift their heads up and declare a new day. God is the one life in all of us, through us, and for us. Spirit is in you, through you, and for you. For your desires for love, for your desires for success, for your desires for happiness and health and prosperity and joy. And Spirit is not for the small-minded part of ourselves, but the best part of ourselves. And when we get behind those ideas, when we breathe life into them, when we put our hands to work at what's right in front of us to do to make life better, the very storehouses of heaven will open up and rain down blessings upon us. Now, the key of those storehouses lie in the triune nature of our spiritual journey. Meditation, taking a little bit of quiet to open our minds up to a better idea. Affirmative prayer, using our words and hearts to seed our desires into universal mind. And right action, putting ourselves to work with what's right in front of us to make life better. Now, when it comes to meditation, I know you've probably heard 20 minutes. You do 20 minutes a day. This is what you should strive to do. Well, that's wonderful, and it's a great goal. But you know, life has gotten super busy right now. We're all trying to multitask just to keep our heads above water. And part of that busyness is God's creation. So the two of us have co-created this busyness together, and the two of us have got to come to a way to make it work. Make it work for me, and to make it work so that Spirit's ideas of creation can flow through me. So I would love to be able to spend 20 minutes a day, but if I can't do that, then maybe I can spend a moment or two when I first wake up and not run off to the coffee maker right yet. Maybe I can keep the noise of the day just a little bit quiet, not always have the television on when I'm at home, or when I get to the car, not always turn the radio on, and just have a little bit of silence. And then if I do find that I've arrived at an appointment a little bit earlier, to spend a couple of minutes in meditation, just quiet, opening myself up to a better idea. This past week, I had to go over to Orlando because I had to sit on a ministerial panel for our students that were graduating from the Centers for Spiritual Living ministerial training. And so I had taken the back roads over so I didn't have to be on the interstate, and I really enjoy it. Now, when I got to the training, the day, it was a full day of meeting these different students, and I sat on a panel of two other ministers, and they would come in, and what we were supposed to ask them was about their spiritual practice, and all of them had very good spiritual practices. And then we were also to quiz them on what their plans were for the ministry, what they were planning to do, how they were going to get out and create a ministry. And it soon became apparent for all three of us that these students did not have a realistic approach of how they were going to go into the ministry. They had been given great training for their spiritual education, but not very practical ideas on how to go into the ministry. In fact, I didn't sense that they had any real good ideas at all of how they were going to go into the world and to make this happen. And as I sat there, I got really kind of angry because they had paid $20,000 to have this training. And I thought it was really not a fair thing not to give them some honest opinions on how they should go out in the world. And I was just kind of bubbling up, and I thought, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write a long email. You know, I was imagining myself as Martin Luther hammering 95 theses on the wall. You just let me show you what you've done wrong. And so I thought about that for a while. I got through my day, and then I realized, it's like, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. These people that have run this school, they've really tried their best. They did a great job at organizing this event, which takes a good bit of organization. They did a good work there. So instead of just criticizing everything they've done, why don't I make one helpful suggestion? Why don't I say, why don't y'all try to do this? And my helpful suggestion was, one, it was easy, it was cheap, and it's something that we've got the resources already to do. The suggestion is find out what these students want to do, and then hook them up with ministers in the field who are already doing that, who are succeeding at it, and let them get feedback from ministers in the field. And so it's a really good practical suggestion, and I was typing this off. Now, the final part of that was what Spirit had guided me to write, and the final part of that was, and I'm willing to help. My fingers would not do it. My fingers were just frozen there. I almost had to use my nose to type out the last little section. I'll do it, before I send it off. But I mailed it off and sent it off email, and so that got that rolling. And so then I thought to myself, well, now wait a minute. Take a moment or two and see if there was something in this event that you can encourage. See if there's something that was already happened there that you can add some extra energy to. And the truth of the matter is that I worked with two fellow ministers who were just delightful. We had a grand day. We enjoyed spending time with each other. The work was easy. We really enjoyed it. So I said, well, I'm going to send a card to these two fellow ministers. Not an email. I'm going to actually go get a card. I'm going to type something out because nobody can read my handwriting. And I'm going to put some energy into sending them a note that I really liked working with them. I hope we'll do it again. So the email went out, and that was kind of a vent to my frustration. And then the quiet time gave me a better idea and I was able to use more of my energy on that positive suggestion. The card to the ministers increased the flow of energy in my life to bring me more fun colleagues to work with, more easy work, more fun decisions. And that energy will return back to me, creating similar events that will prompt similar emotions. Now, if I had spent more time on my frustrations, if I actually had decided to write out the 95 thesis and nail them to a door, that energy and that time and consciousness would have gone out as a vibration and would have come back to me in events and people and circumstances that would have caused similar emotions. This is how thought works. This is how life works. Deliberate thoughts have great power. And in affirmative prayer, we are deliberately taking our thoughts and imprinting them on the consciousness of the universe. And when we do that, we look for the return of our investment like the father looked for the return of the prodigal son. And what did he do when he first saw the prodigal son? He ran to him with the best items he had. He gave him the best robe. He took the ring from his finger and gave it to him. And this is what we want to do when we see our blessings come to us. We want to run to them and celebrate them and rejoice in them, knowing that this is Spirit showing up in our life, in our health, in our love, our joy, and our prosperity. My wonderful prayer partner, she tells me, she says, Ken, she says, our prayers, we've gone from affirmative prayers to prayer celebrations. That's where we want to be, prayer celebrations, to celebrate the love and joy and support of Spirit made manifest in our lives. And we do this when we affirm the best for ourselves, when we imprint the best of ourselves onto the consciousness of the universe. And then we want to put ourselves to work, creating as much good as we can with what we have in front of us. You can do amazing things. Dolly Parton, I understand, has given 2 million books away to kids in Appalachia and around the world to teach them to read. 2 million. She could have easily just retired and continued putting out CDs But she made a decision. I'm going to do something more. Because she says, you teach a kid to read and there's no holding them back. You can be like the two teenage boys in Brooklyn. They figured out that if they got the gang members playing basketball with each other in Brooklyn, that they wouldn't end up shooting each other. So what they've done now is they've gone to create these basketball teams in Chicago. Then they went to South Africa. And now they're in Israel, getting the Muslims and Jewish kids to play with each other so that they won't kill each other. You can be like my panelist, the wonderful Reverend Karen Wolfson. Some of you may know her. She sat on the panel with me in Orlando, and she's just this beautiful and dynamic and lovely lady. And every single person that came in that room left that room for feeling better, for having met her, because she would see something bright and vital in every single soul that came into that room. And if she can do it, we can do it. We can lift the world up one soul at a time by seeing the best in one another and by seeing it in ourselves. With Spirit, all possibilities exist. The fulfillment of our desires is already created in the universe, ready to be called forth by us. But we have to do the calling. We already possess all that we need to have a wonderful, love-filled, and healthy and prosperous light. We are a spark of pure potential, and through joy shall we call our good forth, shall we call God forth. So this morning, I encourage you to start spreading the news for yourself, that you have a better idea of yourself, that you have a better idea of the world, and you have a better idea of God. And that is that life can be joyful, it can be meaningful, it can be kind, it can be compassionate, it can be loving. We are here to create a new Jerusalem and a new earth, filled with love and compassion and kindness towards one another, towards the planet, towards all of creation. And understanding that we walk on sacred ground, we see through the eyes of God, we breathe through the breath of Spirit, and through our right thinking and our right actions, we become one with Spirit, joining in the very chorus of heaven, singing out from our hearts and our souls, so that the deserts of earth will bloom forth in new hope, new joy, new love. This is the promise of God made manifest through our hearts and our souls and our action, and we're up to it. Spirit believes in you, Spirit loves you, and Spirit has faith in you. This is the truth in your life this morning. It's the truth in mine, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.